We're sure that title has your tongue wagging already, so stick around, as in this video you'll see how the Hulk became Thanos' pet, and we can assure you the story arc is worth it. So Thanos is at a gladiatorial tournament on the homeworld of the despotic Chitauri alien race. The crowd is cheering him on because he is the head of the former ruler under his great golden boots. This guy is supposed to be the strongest and best the tournament has to offer, and only the strongest gladiator can ascend the throne. But Thanos has made easy work of this guy. He begs for his life, and this annoys Thanos. A being who is supposed to be the strongest the tournament has to offer shouldn't be begging for his life. So Thanos stamps on his head, squashing it into mulch. Then Thanos ascends the throne. Thanos has barely settled into his seat when, up above, there's a bit of an aerial conflict. The spaceships hovering over the planet are being attacked. Next thing you know, it's the cosmic version of the Ghost Rider who appears and starts to mouth off. He has arrived with a cosmic interpretation of his bike, and Thanos thinks he might be the worthy challenger he has been hoping for. But the comic Ghost Rider has other plans. In fact, he has been sent here to fetch Thanos for someone else. Thanos feels insulted and picks him up by the skull so he can crush it, but Ghost Riders never die, so he flips things on Thanos. This version of the Ghost Rider has a fragment of the Time Stone and dares to use it with great effect. He's able to wrap Thanos in his hellish chains and whisk him away. They soon arrive on Earth through a Time Stone portal. It's millions of years in the future, and guess who it was that sent the Ghost Rider? It turns out to be a much older version of Thanos. And as a side note, the Cosmic Ghost Rider has become his herald messenger, just like the Silver Surfer was known to serve Galactus. And this version of Thanos is known as King Thanos, but his kingdom is a barren wasteland. Having rendered the universe desolate on behalf of Mistress Death, all that is left is himself. And might we add that, apart from the Cosmic Ghost Rider who has become his busboy, the almighty Hulk is now also his pet? And by pet, we mean the real thing, with a leash and food tossed on the ground as if he were a dog. That's how crazy things have become in this version of the future. Thanos, on his part, isn't too happy to see his future self, but King Thanos needs his help. By the way, both versions are still infatuated by the so-called Mistress's death and are still on her case. It seems that rendering the universe lifeless wasn't enough to win her heart after all. And King Thanos says there's one more being he has yet to end, and perhaps when he does, Mistress Death will look their way. So back in time, when the Earth was scorched by Thanos, only one hero survived, and it was the Punisher. While laying there under some rubble as he breathed his last, he said one of those prayers that the infamous Mephisto heard. So the Punisher made a deal with the devil, and, as expected, became the Cosmic Ghost Rider. For greater effect, he also made yet another deal with Thanos, who promised him a lifetime of evil entities to add to his bounty list. We know that the Ghost Rider likes to hunt down evil, and in return, he has to be loyal to King Thanos. So again, all that was left was Thanos, the Cosmic Ghost Rider, and the pet Hulk. Still, there was no Mistress Death by his side, and Thanos realized that there may in fact be one more cosmic being he hadn't killed at that point. And perhaps Mistress Death was playing hard to get because of that. This was why he invited a past version of himself to help out. He even said, "Pretty please." And that especially sickened the younger Thanos. No version of himself ought to say please, and Thanos was so angered that he confronted his older self for saying please. He got a blast of energy for his troubles, but it would take the mention of a long-lost name to calm the tensions down. The older Thanos simply said the name Dion, which was his true name, or the one he was given at birth, and only Thanos or other versions of him knew about the name. So, King Thanos went on to explain to Thanos that they had to face off with the Silver Surfer, the last surviving cosmic being, in the hope that Mistress Death would finally take their love seriously. As they bickered, the Silver Surfer arrived to challenge them. He had been preparing for a very long time for this singular battle and believed he was now ready to bring justice upon Thanos. The first thing you notice is that the Silver Surfer is not silver-colored anymore, but is more shiny black now. We don't know how or why this is the case, but all we know is that he is out for revenge to end Thanos, and he has brought Thor's hammer with him, as well as what is called the Annihilation Wave, comprising of insectoids that can lay waste to entire worlds. It's much like a swarm of locusts, if you catch our drift. The Silver, or Black Surfer in any case, also has the power of the cosmic on his trail, so all in all, he came prepared. The first wave of the attack would be the insectoids, and at some point they almost overwhelmed Thanos, but he called upon the Cosmic Ghost Rider to do his thing. And so the Ghost Rider exploded in a fiery blast, almost like hellfire on the surface, as it scorched everything in sight, including all the insectoids. All but the Surfer remained alive on the opposing side. Now the surfer prepared his hands to blast away at both Thanos. His hand crackled with hyper-electric energy, and just when he was about to blast away with Thor's hammer in tow, he got distracted by the younger Thanos, and so King Thanos stabbed the Silver Surfer with the demonic Twilight Sword of Surtur. Then Thanos continued to pummel the Surfer with the hammer until all the cosmic innards of the Silver Surfer spilled out of him. And what do you know, there was the lone figure of a woman standing at a distance. She was dressed in black and had a veil over her head, in addition to a bouquet of flowers. At last, Thanos thinks he has finally won her heart, but he also realizes there is one more thing in his way, which is one of them has to die, and only one version of Thanos can have her. So they now have to face off with each other. So it's King Thanos with all the fighting and world-destroying experience he's gained prior to this point in time. The challenger is a relatively younger Thanos, still starting out as a universe-conquering being without any hindsight whatsoever on how to win the love of Mistress Death, mind you. This culminating idea to finally convince Mistress Death of his love was all King Thanos' own. And the younger version of him was only supposed to be a supporting act, but it all ends today, in an inevitable fight that must be fought to top off all that unrequited love. To give viewers a sense of how powerful King Thanos is, he was able to tame the Hulk and turn him into a domestic pet for his own pleasure. Thanos would occasionally feed the Hulk meat from his dead enemies, and the Hulk, who was known to be the angriest Avenger, realized deep down that he couldn't face this version of Thanos and hope to win. We know it sounds cruel and almost feels like Marvel is promoting human trafficking and slavery, but that was the fate of the Hulk, so this version of Thanos is all-powerful. And here's the clincher, Thanos was able to kill the almighty Celestials, you know? That race of gargantuan beings who brought the universe into existence at the dawn of time using the Infinity Stones. Yeah, those guys. Thanos blasted them out of existence. And so perhaps the only person who could kill him was himself. Mistress Death walked towards them but stopped short at the door. This infuriated the younger Thanos because he realized that after all said and done, he never stood a chance, even if he ultimately became King Thanos in the distant future. Then suddenly, he got the point and realized this was some sort of love triangle. In frustration, Thanos' attitude became, let's just get on with it. And so they engaged as the younger Thanos pummeled the heck out of King Thanos. It was so R-rated that even Mistress Death was compelled to look away. Thanos stopped his onslaught to catch his breath. He also wanted to savor the moment. Who would have thought that winning Mistress Death's hand would come to this? King Thanos even encouraged him to end things right away. At least a version of him would still end up with his Mistress Death. And that was enough of a reward. Then King Thanos had the mind to say please yet again. Apparently Thanos hated that word coming from his lips, and it made him pause to think things through. First off, he hated that King Thanos had become so weak to the point of begging for anything. As such, the younger Thanos decided the solution was to erase this humble and weak version of himself from existence. Yes, he was that egotistical and vain as to think so highly of himself. And the consequence of this decision meant Thanos would never be able to claim Mistress Death as his bride ever again. And he had to get back to his time and exist in such a way as to never become this version of himself, so Mistress Death could always wait. The younger Thanos abandoned the fight and walked into the Time Stone portal back to his era. King Thanos laughed as if he had won the battle, but then he realized something. Mistress Death was not dressed for a wedding, but a funeral, which is his own funeral. In other words, from henceforth, he was as good as dead as if he never existed.